Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Major Rob Labios, and I want to welcome you to today's Veterans Day celebration, where we honor all the men and the women who have sworn an oath to protect and defend our freedoms. This oath, spoken by all service members, is an oath where we swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, and bear true faith and allegiance to the same. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the Allies and Germany put an end to World War I. That conflict referred to at that time as the War to End All Wars, prompted leaders to designate November 11 as a day to honor veterans of World War I. Years later, it became the day to honor all veterans. Today, we honor and celebrate the soldiers, airmen, seamen, Marines, Coast Guardsmen, and Space Force Guardians who have served proudly and distinctively in every major conflict our nation has faced for nearly 4 centuries. President John F. Kennedy once said, "As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them." Living by the values set by the predecessors is the standard National Guard members continue to embrace to this day. General Daniel Hokanson, Chief of the National Guard Bureau, said, "All Guard members, past and present, are united by an oath to the Constitution, a love of our country, and a willingness to sacrifice for something greater than ourselves." He said, quote, "From the founding of our nation to today, we are grateful to the National Guard soldiers and airmen and all service members who answer the call to serve. They represent a proud, patriotic tradition." That tradition has been marked by an unprecedented and historic response the last 3 years, during which we've seen the highest level of National Guard support to our nation since World War II. National Guard soldiers and airmen logged more than 21 million days serving our communities in 2020 and 2021. They supported every combatant commander around the globe and met every governor's request for assistance here at home, despite a pandemic, record wildfires, and storms. As we speak, more than 20,000 Guard members are standing posts overseas. Here in Iowa, over 200 soldiers and 470 airmen have been deployed this past year. Unique to the National Guard is our ability to apply the training and equipment from our combat missions to aid our response efforts to man-made and natural disasters at home. Despite the inherent dangers, Guards men and women left their homes and families to help their communities and neighbors recover from the devastating homeland events, whether it was wildfires in California, a hurricane in Florida, or the Richard storm here in Iowa. In 2021 alone, Guard members provided more than 450 million meals to neighbors, distributed more than 345 million pieces of personal protective equipment, and administered over 14 million vaccinations across the country. They also helped local, state, and federal agencies recover from cyber attacks. Even with the unprecedented call-ups, the National Guard men and women remain at their core part-time soldiers and airmen, but full-time members of their communities. When they take off their uniforms, they fill the role of our business partners and bosses, our teachers, our coaches, our first responders, city council members, still serving this country and their communities with the same sense of duty and honor. The Iowa National Guard continues to support Iowans. You may have seen soldiers and airmen in your community this year sharing their stories, helping a stranded driver on the side of the road, or telling kids about our military equipment. The heroes of our nation live here in your community. History has provided us with extraordinary examples of their selfless deeds. Recently, 3 Iowa National Guard soldiers were recognized for saving the lives of strangers. Major Keel Archer and Master Sergeant Justin Coons, who both administered CPR to people in need while in the movie theater and on a family vacation, respectively, and Specialist John Shields, who helped save an infant who was in cardiac arrest. These are just 3 examples of the many ways our military brings hope, faith, and liberty to millions of people around the world. The true number of people who have benefited cannot be calculated, and the number of memorials raised or speeches delivered doesn't begin to represent the true scope of service our Guard members have provided. Today, less than 1% of Americans choose to serve in the military, and 78% of our service members come from families that have served. The contribution these veterans and families make on behalf of our country are remarkable. While military service isn't for everyone, every eligible young person should consider what may be right for them. The strength of our nation depends on willing individuals from every corner of our state, from all social and ethnic backgrounds, to step forward and serve alongside their fellow citizens. I reflect back to nearly 12 years ago in my deployment with the Iowa Army National Guard in 2010 in Afghanistan. I originally came from California and volunteered to deploy in support of contingency operations overseas. I was then a young and brand new second lieutenant that was placed in charge of 28 of the best trained, best equipped infantry soldiers from the Iowa Army National Guard. They considered me as one of their own. We had each other's back when the situation was tough, and we had to fight against a determined enemy in a foreign land that is quite unique and different from Iowa. Our bond is forever eternal through our experience, and we consider ourselves to this day as brothers. The military is a melting pot where we bring some of the best traits of America and combine them into a force that can fight and win our nation's wars. I moved to Iowa nearly 10 years ago. This community has embraced me so much with my experience that it was an easy decision to move here and raise a family. I love this community and its support for veterans and the military. Every veteran who steps up to serve needs the needs of friends, families, employers, and communities. Without your unconditional support, they could not do what they do. For that, we are extremely grateful for your service to our veterans. To those who have served in the past, and to the current 9,000 Iowa Guard men and women who have kept their promise to remain always ready, we salute you today and every day. To all veterans, thank you. Thank you to the Woodbury County Commission of Veterans Affairs for inviting me here today, and for all the volunteers that made this event possible. I wish you a peaceful and prosperous Veterans Day and a continued health, joy, and happiness throughout the holidays. Thank you very much.